Does Paul check the temperature of the ground in his garden before sowing his seeds?
Never.
Okay. Have you ever tried winter sowing? Maybe indoors.
My last planting in the garden is September, and those plants will go all winter. But I don't. After September 1st, nothing's going to come up. It's too cold.
Does compost require manure? Mine is grass clippings and leaves from the past fall.
Manure is not required, and nowadays, with how animals are raised with antibiotics, growth, hormones, with GMO food, with pasture spray with herbicides, manure is really unsafe and toxic in those levels unless you know where it's coming from. So this is why I prefer grass, needles, leaves, wood chips, because they're clean. No one's spraying or messing with those. They're eating well. But everything else out there is really been messed with today, and it's not, in most cases, not safe. There was an article in Mother News that was so sad. This family who'd been growing a garden for like decades in this spot went and got this cow manure, and they tilled it in, went and planted, nothing grew. They found out that the farmer had sprayed his whole field with 2,4-D Agent Orange to take out the broadleaf weeds. The animals ate that grass. It was in the manure in their garden and wiped out their whole garden. It's scary stuff.
Why do you say never mix, always layer?
If you notice, the Creator in nature never mixes. Every year he puts a layer of these little leaves over the whole plant, but he never mixes them in, just layers. And I found that when you start mixing and messing up with stuff, see, in the soil, this is what's so hard about tilling. You see, in the soil you have hundreds, thousands of living organisms. We see worms are the biggest, but there's all kinds of like microbes and funguses and mycelium, all these living organisms who all live there, have their homes, have their babies. And when you till and you start mixing, you kill and destroy all those living organisms who are living there. So you upset the whole natural order of the soil by any mixing. So this is what the Creator just layers. Put stuff on top, gravity works, compost goes into it, supports it, and everything's safe. Everything's in place.
Now, with the mycelium, you mentioned before that it spreads out and is connected.
For miles, mycelium will grow under wood chip environment. When plant roots connect to that, they access the life that's spread out for miles because it's all in the mycelium. It's so amazing. That's why stuff grows so well in that environment, because it has such access to incredible resource. And when you till, you kill all of it. And you eventually end with sterile soil. And what does nature do? The first thing you do after it tills? Nature covers it with weeds. Because nature knows it's not safe uncovered. It's trying to recover the soil, because left uncovered it blows and washes away. That's why the Bible says all of nature is groaning and travailing, waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God. They can't figure out what we're doing. What's wrong with them? You don't do this. This is crazy. And they're trying to cover it back with weeds because you don't expose it.
Does Paul plant rows north, south, east, west for his orchards or his veggies?
I'm doing north, south. And the reason is that if you have tall things, because if you did it the other way, it would be shaded by the things in front of it. If you go east west, the things in front would shade the stuff below because the sun comes this way. Now, I've been told by intelligent people that if you do that, though, the plants at the south end will be taller than the ones at the north end. I haven't found that here. They seem to be the same size all the way through, but I've been told that.
How will I know where to set the gopher traps if the ground is covered with cardboard and wood chips? If I can't see the mounds, their population might get out of control again. Is the weight of the cardboard and chips heavy enough that the gophers will have a hard time pushing the dirt out of the ground and move over to the next yard where tunneling is easier?
I'm not sure, because I don't have gophers here. We have moles. Now in California we had gophers and we used to trap them, but we didn't have any cover. We used to, when they dug a hole, I went down and found a hole and put the trap in the runway. So I'm not sure, how that's going to affect your gopher population. I just don't know.
Is there a difference between planting in a new back to Eden garden versus an established one?
like an established backyard garden, you're just going to have more nutrients because you see, as which is laying in the ground and the composting, more is going into the soil and the plants take out. So every year it's like a compounding interest. It gets better and bigger because you have this constant upgrade. So certainly the older it is, the better it gets.
Did you plant that wasabi there?
Yeah. You see how nice? You see how nice it's growing?
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it's supposed to be to grow wasabi? It only grows in standing water and shade. And people who grow it commercially grow it under black cover with hydroponically growing in water. I love it, man. It's thriving out there in witches and it never water. It's awesome.
Wow, that's amazing.
Wood chips are an amazing medium. It's incredible. You know, I'm growing. pH issues like some plants like acid soil, like blueberries, and other plants like alkaline, like lavender.
Yeah.
I'm growing them side by side, right next to one another in the same wood chips, and they're both thriving, both happy. Because the pH is 7.0, center, perfect balance. Nature is perfect. It doesn't need any help. It's awesome, man. It's just it makes it so easy. You know what I'm growing next to my wasabi out there? Sage. Sage grows in deserts with no water. I'm growing them side by side. One wants standing water, one wants none, and they're happy both together. I love it, man. It's awesome.
That's sweet.
Well, I had to ask the creator because it was too big for me to wrap my head around. You know what he told me? It was really awesome. He says there's enough airspace in the wood chips for the sage to hang out in open spaces and avoid the water, but if the wasabi wants the water, it can go to this, but they have the option. The plants can choose because everything's there. What a great design, man. It's perfect. See, we're out there trying to adjust pH, trying to adjust soil conditions for specific plants, where nature does perfectly balanced. You grow everything in the same place. Easy, because everything's there.
Yeah. The roots are going to find whatever they need.
Exactly. It's all there and they can choose. I love it. What a great design.
What's the plant or flower or something at the end of the driveway that's both colors?
Oh, hydrangea. See, hydrangeas, hydrangeas, they have a big ball flower, and if they're planted in acid soil, the flowers are blue. If they're planted in alkaline soil, they're pink. Mine have both colors on at the same time. I love it, man. It's so fun because the pH is 7.0 at center, and so both colors happen. It's just like, it's so cool.
They want to know how you make your kombucha, if you will show us on video.
Can't show you on video, but it's quite simple. It's just, you start with a SCOBY initially, and when you're first starting out, you have to use apple cider vinegar to get the thing going, like 8 ounces in it. First, you get a gallon, those big gallon jars with a wide opening. And you put 2 quarts of water in, and then a quart of black tea and 1 cup of sugar brought to a boil. You let it steep for 15 minutes. You add that to it, and then 8 ounces of apple cider vinegar initially with the SCOBY. After you've done that, once you have kombucha, all you need is 8 ounces of kombucha every time you make it. You need no SCOBY because it's so live, it just keeps reproducing itself. But there's a lot, if you go on the internet, there's all kinds of information about kombucha. It's very, very popular, stuff on the internet.
They also want to know how you make other fermented stuff like yogurt or kimchi.
I don't. My wife makes those things. I make sauerkraut. I get my cabbage and we make sauerkraut. Because I love sauerkraut. Fermented foods are really important for us. So it's nice to have those on a regular basis. During the wintertime, I just have big jars of sauerkraut back in my cooler. Just have that.
How do you? I've never.
Well, there's a lady. You have a big crock and let it ferment. There's this woman in Port Townsend. I give my produce and she makes it for me. She adds caraway seed. It's just really delicious. So it's just really.
I live in a drier area of Hawaii where we receive less than 40 inches of rain.
Less than 40?
That's what I said.
That's dry? I get 15 to 18 inches a year here, so I can't relate to that being dry.
Maybe it's because of the heat.
40 inches though, man, that is huge.
Seems like it.
That's...
Even with Back to Eden Garden, many vegetables I would like to grow either fail because of intense dryness or heat, or get bombarded by biblical levels of pests year-round. This has forced me to focus on tree crops like moringa, Moringa, or shea, which is a tree spinach, which aren't very tasty at all. I have noticed that plants in the nightshade family tend to do best. So, would you recommend I focus on nightshade crops? If so, do you have a preference? Tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, etc.
Well, you want to plant whatever you're going to eat, but my feeling is that once you get a cover in place, all the issues with pests and everything go away because it's happened here. I used to have all that. I have none now. So anytime you have problems, it's because the plants are deficient. And once you have nutrient-dense soil, all those issues go away, totally. So you eventually can grow anything you want once you get the soil good.